I'd like to welcome you all to the EPS show. Today we're going to be discussing something different from what we actually been discussing. So, my name is Emmanuel P. Skinner, and today I have a special guest. I think this is the first time on this show, and I believe that today is going to be a very different topics, engaging topics, and he's gonna be giving all the insight on the topic on the discussion today. So we're gonna be talking about the topics powers and polity in Africa. So I will turn quickly to my guest so that he can briefly introduce himself and tell us his country and where and what he is doing here in India. Welcome to the show, my dear brother.
Yes, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Once again, I may say I'm so glad to be hosted here in EPS. My name's Opi Isaac Joseph. I come from South Sudan, the youngest nation in I can say the world is, and I come here to study. I'm a student, at Kalinga University. Thank you.
Let's dive strictly into the questions on the questions under the topic. So let's talk about the big questions in Africa, right? So why do African leaders tend to stay in power for long period of time? Because I only see these things happening in Africa. In Africa, you will notice you have a lot of leaders that is in power for decades and years in, years out, they are still in power. These things are not happening in the European country, but this is happening in Africa. So, what you think is the reason beyond their long stays in power?
First and foremost, I would say thank you very much for that question. Uh, Longevity in leadership in Africa, uh, it 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 have not started today or tomorrow.
Mhm.
This series started a very long time ago. Yes, and we have leaders who stayed over 40 years in power. We have leaders who even stayed even almost 47 years. We are taught with history, and history indicated those leaders to us clearly. And leaders are greedy for power. Once they take power, they become drunk because of power, and most of the leaders, they fear trials.
Okay.
They fear trials. Most of them committed crimes, and some of them committed atrocities. Even some are marked with corruptions. So in this case, they fear trials, because once you are a president, and if things happen, you are taken out or you are overthrown, definitely you face international criminal court to go and answer questions. So I may say these are the reasons for Africans, why African leaders do stay long, in power. I can say if they can learn, from Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who handed power peacefully, and then I can say Africa will become, a great nation if they can only learn from Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who handed power peacefully to the people. There might be crimes that the president might have committed, and
Okay.
that cannot just go free like that. When they're in power, you can do nothing about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I got the thing says that we do believe that most African countries, when you try to do the checking, their leadership, they will be like democracy. It's a democracy leadership in Africa. And the democratic leaderships that they are claiming to be in the rural African country um, is on paper. We believe that is on paper that yes, for example, South Sudan is a democratic nations. Like I'm from Liberia.
Yeah.
Liberia is a democratic state. That is something that is on paper, right? Everywhere you can get that, people will say, yeah, Liberia is a democratic state, a democratic country. But another thing I want to know from this scenario, from this information we keep getting on Africa, are they really living according to what is on paper that the country is a democracy? Are they living according to it?
You know, first of all, democracy is a system of governance, you know, a system of governance where the leaders are not the leaders, where the people have freedom and the right to elect, to vote who they want to represent them or to lead them. But today in Africa, not all parts of Africa, but some parts of Africa, especially where I come from eastern part of Africa, you know, uh, it's not longer a democracy; it's autocracy, a system of governance where one person or individual control all the institutions.
Okay.
So I can say democracy does not exist in some other parts of Africa. We can say democracy, a real democracy, is demonstrated in elections. But we have seen many times, especially last year, you know, even the beginning of this year, we have seen how um, mm, citizen rights are turned uh, at, are turned
Mhm.
upside and down
Okay.
when they elect the leaders they want. Later, you know, they change the results. You know, they rig elections.
Okay.
So where there is a rigging of elections, there is no democracy. You know, in most African parts of the country, uh, especially where I come from, over some other western part of Africa, you know, an election that is supposed to be peaceful and, you know, free and fair, you know, it is now something obvious that it is a season for, you know, for people to mourn their loved ones.
Mhm.
It is a season where, you know, a season where people die.
Mhm.
This is what we have seen happening even in Cameroon. We have seen last year election were rigged, and you know, citizens were trying to protest, and you know, many die. I
Okay.
cannot mention most of these countries, but we all know them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I may say democracy does not exist in some other parts of Africa. It is just on paper, as you said.
Okay,
Thank
okay,
you.
okay. So, yeah, because you see, when we meet some of our African brothers, they will normally tells us that the countries I'm from, we believe in democracy. That's what it usually says. So it sometimes comes to my mind to think, is it only on paper that these countries are claiming to be democratic country, or are they like doing it within a country? But like you said, most of the countries just have these things on paper, but they are not following what is being said for democracy, because democracy is about giving everybody the chances to
Uh,
make their decision to go for who they want. But then it tend to be something different from what is on the paper. Yeah, yeah.
is you know, uh, in most parts of Africa, democracy remains on paper, and if the young people don't stand up, it will remain on paper. I can say that democracy in other parts of country. I can testify that in Liberia you have democracy.
Mhm.
When in 2023, when election was conducted in
Yeah,
2023,
yeah, yeah.
and you know, when the election was indeed fair and free,
Free.
when the who those yes,
Josh Manning, we are 10
yeah,
power over
Joseph,
to
yeah,
Joseph
yeah,
Boakai
Joseph
fairly.
Boakai, he was handed power peacefully,
Yeah.
and that is a sign of democracy. If all the African countries will only learn from that, and even some other countries that hands power or conduct free and fair elections, and then I can say democracy will not only remain on paper, but it will be practiced.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for referring to Liberia. Of course, Liberia is my
Yeah, you
country,
know, it is Africa.
and then
Truth
yeah,
must be
yeah,
told.
yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
recognizing Liberians in there on this show. because it is my country's, and I saw the way the election went, though I wasn't in the country, but to see that President George Manneh Weah turn power over peacefully and allow Joseph Boakai to take power without wrecking the elections. I think you are right. That is something we call democracy. So we
Mm.
believe that other leaders can also do the same. But then to the first questions I asked you, we having these leaders who are just overstaying in power, because when you look at there are some country, the president is not even able to work. The president might be old. They have spent up to 40 years in power, and these very presidents are not able to move. They are not able to talk, but yet and still they are in power. And you have other competent men, other competent youth within the country. So, what do you think that country that are experiencing this kind of problem? Let's look at the like of Nigeria. Nigeria have a president, and the president is very, very old. He's an old man, and even walking is a problem for him. You understand? If I'm not mistaken, let's look at South Sudan as well. South Sudan is also on the list of
Yes,
president
yes.
who are very old. But yet every year, every elections, they win the elections. Whether it's been fair or it's not being fair, they win. Let's look at the like of Liberia. Liberia also have a president that is very old. But then let's take a keen look at Nigerians and South Sudan's, because these are one country that you have president that has stayed in power for a very long time. You understand?
Yes.
Why do you think that the youth of the country or other members of the country, what strategy you think they can put to place that can end the long stays of power of other people, other leaders like the presidents? What do you think they can do to
I
stop it?
yes, I guess you are talking about what young people can do to end this longevity
Yeah.
in power. Young people should stand up, they should rise up, they should protect their votes, because most of these leaders who overstay in power are dictators, and the only thing to to dismantle dictators is only by protecting votes, and even protesting, protesting, in their capacities, and even they should, they should be politically, young people should be politically conscious. Yes, they should, they should preach, they should preach, they should preach change in the, to bring an end to this thing, and they should demand for accountability. Young people should hold leaders, accountable to bring change, and they should participate in the politics of Africa. They should learn from past leaders. They should learn from Nelson Mandela, and they should learn from Julius, the one of Tanzania. They should learn from, there are a lot of good leaders that they can learn who participated in the democracy and who participated in bringing end to longevity in power, and and even handing power peacefully.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much. So I have been hearing on the social media, also seeing on the social media, that there are huge number of country, few African countries that we are seeing that they are recruiting soldier, they are recruiting young men and women in their various armies. Just a reason we notice the huge recruitment of soldier or people to come into their armies. So these have not been happenings before. So what is the reason beyond this country or this leader in recruiting men and women into the army? They are prioritizing having movement in their various armies. What is the reason you think beyond this?
First of all, security matters in the country. The reason why young people or people are recruited to participate in the securities, to become armies, soldiers, or even police. It is for the benefit of the people in the country. But sometimes, these people are recruited in the favor or benefit of individual to to maintain them in power. That's what I can, I can answer.
Okay, okay. So, um, because somebody was also saying, like you said, that these leaders are carrying on this recruitment of huge men and women to get into the army because they they have not lived according to the expectations of the citizen. So their fear is that they are no longer trusted by the citizens. So that's why they are doing more recruitments so that the army can be able to protect them rather than the citizen. So I don't know. Is that also true that sometimes when this government, the president, fail the people, is that the reason behind them recruiting a lot of men and women so that they can be protected as well? Because
Uh,
they fail the people, they fail the government, they fail the citizen on their first time being in power. Because when people are coming to power, the president coming to power, they come with so many statements. They will build roads, they will do this, they will do so many things. So after they notice that they have failed the people and they see that the citizen no longer in their interest, so they feel that recruiting more people, most men into the army can also be a huge protection for their safety in power for upcoming election. What do you think of it?
so, as I said, it is not only the reason why they are recruiting. It is not only to keep them in power, but as I said, to provide securities uh, to the counties. In case there is a political threat, it is to defend the county, to defend the constitutions. But mostly, um, you know, most of these people go willingly into the armies. Some lack employment opportunities. Uh, they feel like, you know, some even join the army because they lost their loved one.
Okay.
They lost their loved one in the whatever, in the season of war that are caused by some governments. So they join it in order to, let me say, they join it through depressions and maybe in order to revenge. Sometimes that happens. I can
Okay.
testify that.
Okay. What about accountability? I African leader accountable to the people who they are leading?
Well, uh, African leaders are not uniformly, accountable to their people.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, in some nations like like Ghana, I can say that Ghana, Botswana, leaders are relatively, accountable because they are free and free and fair election. We have seen election in Kenya last year.
Okay.
Uh, you know, uh, leaders, leaders in it, the election indicated that leaders were so accountable when power was handed freely. That is accountability. Meaning, if you lose and the person maybe and the other party wins, and then that is being accountable. So however, in many other African countries, places like I can say, Uganda, or even Eritrea, political competition is restricted, making it so harder for citizens to hold leaders accountable, because leaders can be accountable in the democratic process of elections.
Mhm.
Yes, but when the election is controlled, or the institution is controlled, and then I don't think whether citizens can be accountable, leaders can be accountable for their to their people.
Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you, Azi. What about in some of these African countries? What do you have to say about uh, public protests and uh, like, let's say what is about public protests in the various country and
Uh,
activism? What do you mean? What do you think about these things? Are these protests, citizens really getting what the protest for? What do you make of the various protests that is
you
ongoing?
know, Protests are driven by many factors.
Mhm.
You know, last year when went you know um, when citizens from Ivory Coast
Mhm.
protested
Yeah.
over rigged elections. We have seen last year when citizens in Cameroon protested against rigged election. We have seen the same thing happen in Tanzania. Citizens protested last year. These are series of what happened last year. We have seen that citizens protested. We have even seen in Kenya when citizens protested against high taxations. All these things are driven by dissatisfactions when citizens are not satisfied with what the leaders are doing, and when the thing go beyond dialogue, and then citizens, uh, that is the only way uh, young people can be heard. And protest is legal; it is not a crime.
Okay.
Yes, protest to reshape the county, to bring reform, to bring end to atrocities, to bring end to impunities.
Okay.
Yeah, so and activisms are contributing even in reshaping the counties, whether sometimes even the environments are not safe because most of the leaders doesn't want the truth,
Okay.
and activists that they are there to speak the truth. So leaders doesn't want that. I can say the environment is sometimes not safe for activism, but these days the technology has gone higher. They utilize the media to preach the gospel of change, the gospel of reshaping the country.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. But then again, when it comes to the youth that are protesting, there are two things I still want to know. Uh, are their voices being heard by the Avira government after the protest? That's one thing. And then two, some people might be thinking that most of the protesters are being influenced by opposition party.
Well, uh, I can say protest uh, is not influenced by politicians.
Okay.
However, are not influenced by opposition.
Hmm.
However, oppositions, you know, doesn't agree with what the government is doing, with what the governments are doing,
Yeah.
and definitely, citizens even cannot go for something they don't like. For example, when people protested in Kenya over high taxations, it was not influenced by opposition leaders. It was it was business people. It was ordinary people who protested because they don't have that high amount of money to pay for the authorities. Yes, I can say the protest comes from the ordinary people. However, indirectly can be influenced by oppositions.
Okay. So thank you. So what about these countries that you find on the social media? They sometimes uh, are chasing protesters on the street. They are using tear gases on protester. Some are even shooting protester because I believe it is the right of citizen to protest. They should protest once
Yes.
they are not feeling
Mm.
satisfied with the leadership of their country. When they have not been treated well within a country, it is a citizen right to carry on protests. But you notice there are a few other countries who, when the citizen comes out to do the protest, the government send police, send the army to drive them out of the street, to spray water on them, some to shoot them while they are on a peaceful protest. Is that really a law in Africa that these people cannot come on the street to protest, or is it something that the government don't want other people to hear about the country on the internet?
It is better to die when seeking for justice
Mhm.
than to stay silent. Because if even though you stay silent, the same wave will hit you.
Okay.
So what I can say is that protest is so risky. We have seen a lot of people, citizens dying in the course of protest,
Mhm.
in the course of protest in many other, African African's counties. However, it is legal. Protest is legal. Even in parliament, MPs protest.
Mhm.
In Uganda, MPs protested some years back.
Yeah.
So protest is everywhere.
Okay.
Yes. So I can say protest is legal, though citizen has to take cautions. They should first try dialogue. If dialogue fails, then that should be the last, option.
Again, to the same point, what do you say to government who come on the street to chase protester from the street, to kill protester, to beat protester? What do you have to say to such governments who are also doing that in various countries? Because I do believe it is very wrong to chase protester from the street, to kill protester, to beat protester when they are being protesting very free and fair, no violence. They have been peaceful in the protest, and you find this government send police officer, soldier. What do you want to say to these various government that involved into such act?
Uh, First of all, where there is smoke, there is fire behind it. A smoke cannot just, you cannot just see smoke without seeing fire.
Mhm.
So, the reason why citizens, are protesting because there are wrong things, going on.
Okay.
Insecurity, economic crisis. If only leaders can adjust the way they lead the country, if they can adjust the economic, if they can practice fair and free elections, because most of the protests we have seen is over rigged elections.
Mhm.
Yes, so if they can uh, bring end to those, uh, those bad leaderships styles, and then I can say young people will not take into the street to protest, and I can say they should, have sympathy on the people because they are there to serve.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, what I noticed about Africa all the past times, the leadership. So that there are some things into it that I really want to know about Africa or African countries, their very leadership. So, uh, does African country need strong leaders or they need strong institutions?
Uh, Africa, I can say without fear of contradiction, Africa does not need a strong leaders. Africa needs strong institutions.
Okay.
However, for there to be a strong institution, there must be a strong leader. But there must be first strong institutions. You cannot tell me you want a strong wall, a strong building when the foundation is weak.
Mhm.
Yes, I can say Africa does not need strong leaders. It needs Africa needs strong institutions. The court should be independent. The judiciary should be independent. Even the parliament, that should be rule of law.
Okay.
Yes, because leaders come and leaders go,
Okay.
and the constitutions stays and the people stays. Then if there is a strong, strong strong constitution, institutions,
Mhm.
then I say Africa, I will definitely we shall realize changes.
Okay. 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 So thank you. So that means our African countries need strong institutions because these strong institutions will be able to do their own systems without fear. And I believe when you have more institutions, strong institutions in the country, it also creates a lot of job opportunity for people and other stuff. So thank you, Ali, for letting us know that African countries don't need strong leaders, but they need strong institutions. And you are definitely right about that. That we need a strong
Strong
institutions
institution.
within our very
However,
country.
there must be also strong leaders.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I 100% takes that.
Mm.
So what happens to a country when a long-serving leader leaves power?
Uh, there are numerous things that happens
Okay.
when a long-serving dictators. Let me say dictators because you definitely in a democratic country you cannot get a leader ruling for 40 years.
Yeah, no, no
Then
way.
in Africa we call that dictatorships.
Dictator, yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of things that happens. We
Okay.
have seen what happened in Libya
Okay.
when Muammar Gaddafi, you know, ruled Libya for 40 years
Okay.
from 1969 to 2011.
Yeah.
We have seen what happened after him leaving.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen the same scenario in Zimbabwe when Robert Mugabe, left power. He ruled for over 37 years.
Okay.
We have seen all what happened after them leaving. We have seen the same thing happening in Sudan
Okay.
when Omar al-Bashir uh, was thrown out from power.
Okay.
He ruled for 40 years from
Wow.
1980 to 2017.
Whoa.
So it was, yeah. What I can say is that the first thing that happens after a long leader's leaves is transition of power.
Mm-hmm.
Power is given back to the people to elect
Mm-hmm.
who they want. That is to say, democratic, process. And there are positive and negative parts of this, these things.
Mm-hmm.
And second, sometimes there will be conflict.
Okay.
If the constitution is not strong enough, there will be a civil war. We have seen that
Yeah.
severally happening. Individual will be, fighting,
Okay.
becoming greedy for power, and mostly, these leaders, when they leave power in a good health, or when they are alive, they are taken to court, as I said in the first question, to
Yeah.
answer
Yeah.
questions. Yes. So most sometimes bankrupt, the country may be, bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, most of these leaders, when they know their time is coming, they bankrupt the country.
Okay.
Yes, they leave a lot of debts. Yes,
Yeah.
these are the negative parts that are more than the positive parts.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So thank you. Thank you. So we know that we see that happenings, like you said, when a strong leader leaves power. These are some of the things that happen. I 100% believe what you are saying. That is true. When these leaders leave power, definitely judgment begins. It's almost like God is saying to us,
Yes.
after death, for us a human is judgment.
Yes,
So it's like
judgment. Yes,
for
definitely it is the same. Yeah, you make it right.
so it seems like with these politicians,
Yes.
after your turn earns,
Yes,
you go
go
for
to judgment.
judgment, your
Yes,
judgment
and
because so
Umar al-Bashir, they went there.
okay.
Yes.
So definitely if you don't rule well, just stand a chance
Yes,
to go to
judgment. In
jail.
everything you do, everything you saw, you repeat.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. So uh so that get back to discussions. What gave you hope about the futures of politics in Africa?
Well, uh, thank you for that question.
Mhm.
If you see today, young people are rising up,
Mhm.
young people are standing up, young people are demanding for change, they are demanding for accountability.
Mhm.
So, in daily basis, they are becoming conscious of politics. And if young people, continues in this spirit,
Mhm.
we shall realize a change
Yeah.
in Africans' politics. Young people should take politics, they should take a positive part of politics, and they should participate. They should participate in a way that honored our heroes, people
Mhm.
like Nelson Mandela.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah, Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso.
Okay.
Young people, we have been already open way, by young leader from this one, from Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, who 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 is very young. So Africans will see that example. If a young person like that can also become, a president, can work hard to mitigate the crisis. And then when he came to power, when Ibrahim Traore came to power, there were a lot of bad things happening.
Okay.
There were not good infrastructure. But when he came to power, we have seen the good things happening. And if young people can copy that example and become conscious of politics, become conscious of good leadership, uh, definitely Africa politics will be great even than Europe politics.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Yeah, so thank you so much for these inputs when it comes to the topic on the discussions. So my last questions to you, Mr. Isaac, what would be your parting comment or your statement to the people who are watching, the politicians who are watching, those youth who are watching, and possible there are other government officials who might come to see this video.
Mm.
What is your advice to them as a young man who is also here trying to make sure that the very country lead lead by the democracy that they're preaching, lead by the accountability. So, what
Mm.
is your advice to them out there watching?
My advice to the politicians, my advice to the leaders, some who might be watching me are the culprits of what I said.
Uh-huh.
Some are not. What I can say to those leaders, we are the one, the citizens, we are the one who elected them. We voted them
Mhm.
to power.
Yeah.
So they should respect our rights. They should respect the rights of the citizens in all the countries.
Mhm.
They should bring the rule of law, and they should, they should end impunity. Yes, what we need is a good governance. We need democratic governances. We don't need a ruling where one person control all the institutions. And
Okay.
my last advice to the young people is that they should not see politics as something for the adult. No, they should not see it like that.
Okay.
Politics for young people. Young people should stand up.
Okay.
They should be active. They should not be chasing trends only.
Okay.
Yes, they should be seeking something that can disturb the lives of many people.
Okay.
Politics is not for old people alone, but for young people. We have seen in history has taught us how some young people became politicians. I can say that when uh, uh, my our late president, Dr. John Garang,
Mhm.
when he joined the movement of the independent, he was less than 15 years. Was less than 15 years. He was having the interest, he was having that commitment, but due to his age, he was advised to go and study. And that is the same habit or the commitment young people should have towards the governance, towards the development of the country. Yes, this is my advice to the young people out there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ase. It was actually nice having you on the show, and it's actually great to hear from you as it relate to the topics and the discussions. And we just hope that we will see the change that we all pray for in Africa, because once there is a change, you will benefit, I will benefit,
Exactly.
the brother out there is going to
Exactly.
benefit from the change. And we can have a
Exactly.
better country in Africa, because
Exactly.
imagine most youth are leaving Africa, going Europe, going other country, is because of bad governance.
Exactly.
Because in the absence of bad governance, people will prefer staying in their country rather than leaving, going to Europe.
Mm.
So we hope and pray that people who are listening will be able to work towards the change in Africa. That
Mm.
tomorrow, most of the children out there, the youth out there, will not have to leave their country. They can make
Mm.
Africa better, and we all can stay in Africa, work, earn money, and build Africa, rather than 50 to 30% of the youth every year is leaving the country going.
Mm.
Because imagine you and I are here for study. If we have a good systems in Africa, if we have good governance in Africa,
Mm.
we would prefer to stay in our very
We wouldn't
country.
have been here.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Yes,
be
that's
here
the
in
fact.
India doing the kind of
Yeah,
study, right?
is
Because we say, okay, I can be in my country, I can go to school and work.
yeah.
But then because of bad governance, because of bad systems, we're
Mm,
forced to leave and goes to other people country who have a good governance, good systems.
mm.
So thank you so much for having you on the show. And I would still love to get you back on the show on so many
Uh,
topics. It was actually great having you.
Thank you too. I will be glad next time to be here.
Okay, thank you
Yes.
to our listening out there. Share, comment, and you can ask your questions in the comment sections. As in
Yeah.
I here will be able to give you
So
more
more
answers.
insights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
insight onto this. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you.